Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. When we make an invocation like that, we close our eyes and direct our attention to something which is not visualized with the eyes, and that it is a form of looking not at anything which has a physical form, and that there is an intense visualization. And when we look at the words of the invocation, the first three references were to cosmic events which are physically experienced, such as bodies coming into existence, bodies persisting in time, and body decaying and perishing in time. Thus there is birth, existence, and death. These three functions were then theologically related to three godheads, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. In that there is a subtle scheme. What we see as physical events are individual events, individual germination of seeds, individual buds coming on trees or plants, individual children being born, but we reduce them to the principle of birth. It's an intellectual function. So what we physically see with our senses and experience, they are reduced to a calculable idea, which is an abstraction. So that process of abstraction is part of our life. And then we even took that conclusion, that is the reduction we arrived at intellectually, to another discipline, the discipline of poetry. We make a poetic imagery of a Brahma, which is mythically conceived, a Vishnu, a Maheshwara, and we are relating the principle of the Guru to these three godheads in mythology. And after that, we draw a line and refer to something which does not belong to mythology, but to pure philosophy, such as the concept of Brahman. And the concept of Brahman is not anything arrived at with the senses or with even our intellectual mind. So there is an altogether different category of knowledge which is both mystical and philosophical, and we refer to that and said Guru Satrat Parabrahmam. So in this invocation we have an entire scheme, one pertaining to our physical self and the other to our spiritual self. But if you question, is there anything spiritual? Show me what anything spiritual. Let me see it. Then of course that that becomes, that part of our mind becomes benumbed, and we don't have any special love for it, or we do not take a delight in that kind of an understanding, and then our whole life system, its discipline, its lifestyle, everything is confined to the physical world, where what is relevant is to act and react and not to contemplate. And if there is any little contemplation comes there, even that is 100 and decided as superstition, and we try to remove it from our mind. Thus, for a generality of people, either we live in a world of getting and spending, and where you only come across things which are physical, where you can directly deal with in the form of action. And then there are those who consider those things are happening, but over and above that, there is a higher purpose of life, there is a higher goal of life, there is an intuitive understanding which can take to the beyond, to an absolute. And poetry, art, literature, all these are music, a kind of stepping stones to that higher world of sublime notions and sublime values. And here, in this fourth chapter, a kind of a bridge is built between these two worlds. People who are impressed only by action, how they can be slowly weaned away from that, and they can also be taken to a higher understanding. And it is done in a very subtle way, because most people are not impressed by anything called the Atman or the Absolute or the higher aspects of yoga. But if they are asked to perform something, then they think that something is happening because we are performing. If I have this personal experience, I go somewhere and they ask, what do you do in the Gurukula? I say, we don't do anything. At once they become disinterested. Oh, these are people who are not doing anything. So why should we help them? Oh, they are not doing anything. But if I tell them, oh, we have an orphanage. Oh, you have an orphanage. And if you say, we have a blind school or we have a hospital, then they are very much interested. Oh, you are doing something. Then we also like to help. But if you say, well, not doing something is also good, because everybody is doing something, and when they are tired of doing, when they tumble down and break their nose or hurt, they want some place to sit in retreat and get rid of that fear. So why not there be a place where you don't do anything? Then they don't understand. But these two are to be brought together. So I have seen in this even people who are associated with the ashram or ashram life for years together, suddenly they are gripped by a doubt. What is the use of all this? There was a Swami in Kanjangat, Ananda Ashram. He used to do big penances, practice in Pranayama, and he will sit there and pray for hours and hours. And then the doubt crept into him. What is the use of all this? If I go on saying Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, where will it lead me? And he had a very serious doubt about this. He said, what is the difference between me and the Swami here? Swami Ramdas is an old man, I am also an old man. So why should I think that he is greater than me or superior to me and that he has higher values in spiritual? He could not say anything. Then everything which he did after that time looked sheer waste of time. And so he wanted to put an end to the boredom of life with a vengeance. So he went to the well and took his books and other things and made a big parcel of that and put them all in a bag. And he took his bag and baggage and tied everything to his body. His books, his bed, his pillow, his begging bowl, everything. And he jumped into the well and killed himself. So when I read in the Gita how doubts come and take possession of you and destroy you, think of these two cliffs, two worlds. Between these there is a big chasm, and you do not know how to bridge it. But there is some aspiration coming, and again you are looking to the opposite bank, where there are spiritual luminaries, gurus, saviors, prophets, saints, philosophers, sages. And from this side also some people, after somehow come to this side, they feel they left the right world and they come to a world of nonsense where everybody is sitting and praying and what nonsense is I left my good food and theaters and all fun of life. How to get back to that? This kind of. So it is very difficult to bridge these two aspects. And one way which is suggested here is to cultivate the attitude of sacrifice. You don't want anything. If I don't want anything, what does it matter if I left a certain thing or if I am holding on to a thing? Because my mind, I am anyway practicing a sacrifice. And after bringing that idea of sacrifice, then how that sacrifice can be applied in every field that you operate. That is given here. A man is earning wealth, he makes a sacrifice of it. A man has learned a lot of things, he makes a sacrifice of that using his own learning. Say a doctor or an engineer, to function they have to go and study and prepare themselves for so many years to make themselves experienced. And then what do they do with that knowledge? They use it as a sacrifice. They sacrifice their time, their energy, their understanding, not with any loss of it, but to help the world. But helping that world is not very much in their mind, because for them it is the right thing to do. Just as the light is burning and the river is flowing and the fire is on, the flames of fire go high and the sun radiating, the wise man or the good man, he just he remains as he is and he functions what is natural to him. So that is the sense in which sacrifice is used here. Srutraadinindriyanyanye samyamaknishu juhvadi Shaptadin vishayananye indriyaknishu juhvadi. Some offer a sacrifice the ear and such other sense organs into the fire of restraint. Others offer the sacrifice of sound and other sense interests into the fire of the senses. You see, two alternative cases of the control of the senses are referred to in these words. The difference between them being very delicate. An introversion or pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses, is implied in both instances. In the first case, the perceptual or inner aspect of the senses is taken, with a hearing as a typical example. Hearing is to be sacrificed into the fire of restraint. In the second case, the same restraint is applied to overt sound, which is merged backwards and inwards, as it were, into the general seat of the senses taken together, which, like the restraint, is also compared to a fire. And all forms of sacrifice, there has to be a restraint. And where you think that it curtails your freedom, then you miss the point. If you want your freedom, live in license, do as you like. But if you want to have a disciplined life, somewhere you have to curtail your freedom. Somewhere you have to hold back. A sannyasi is called a yati or a yami. So without that restraint, if somebody also wants to be spiritual, it makes very little sense. Of course, in a hedonistic society, you want to have the freedom to do what you like. But then, of course, they can remain in that world. They are not invited to come to an ashram or a disciplined life. And they will save themselves and others by not intruding into such places and getting into such disciplines. So you hear a voice, something which is very melodious or something which provokes you, can happen both ways. But then to exercise discrimination, viveka, and say, this is an occasion for me to sacrifice, so I don't run after it. I do not allow myself to be provoked by that. One is not going after the delight of it. The other is not adding to you any kind of provocation that it brought. And thus you hold yourself restrained. And this is with regard to all the senses. And when once we understand this, every day becomes a day of sacrifice and a day of discipline. We are continuously led into one function after another function because something we have seen or something we have heard. Automatically we run after it. But see, in the road sometimes it is written, obey only your signal. I think that is the right thing in life also, obey only your signal. So many signals are coming. Use your discrimination, then you will see whether you should pay any heed to that at all. And this causes a pause in our life. And we go from one gentle pause to another gentle pause. So during the time of pause, you are transferring, you are making a bridge between what I said of that physical world and the world of higher values. You are considering your situation. the occasion and say, should I run after it? Is it worthwhile? Does it help me in understanding more, in having more peace, in having better relationship with the world? So that's contemplation. So meditation goes on all the time, every day. And this is a sacrifice which takes us from a scene of operation, a scene of work, to a scene of contemplation. Sarvani indriya karmani pranakarmani jabare atma samyama yogatnau juhadi jnanadivide. All the functions of the senses, as also the vital functions, others make as an offering of both into the fire of unity of discipline, yoga, consisting of self-restraint. Usually by yoga we understand that it is a series of exercises beginning with the asana and the pranayama and ending in a samadhi. But those who take in a more wider sense, so we have our senses, and our senses are stimulated by external objects, but the stimulation is experienced as painful or pleasurable because of our nervous system. In Indian studies, what we call prana, the nadi, the mind, say the vikaras, or say the emotions, feelings, thoughts, understanding, all these are considered as aspects of one and the same thing, prana. So it is prana that pleases us. It is prana that displeases us. It is prana that makes us take a long breath. It is prana that brightens up or brings depression in us. So when once you see how interconnected is prana with everything that is happening in you, you begin the restraint at the very onset of a stimulus coming to you. From there onwards, you take it as the discipline that your mind is to be held in union with a dharana, a state of retention. And the state of retention is the retention of a value such as Shraddha, Bhakti, Karuna, Mudita, Maitri. So these are values. And when you allow yourself to be dominated by any one of these, such as Shraddha to one's Guru, or Bhakti to one's Lord, or what we call God, or interpersonal relationships such as having Maitri. And there you do not allow your mind to become a grasshopper, jumping from one thing to another thing, And for that retention you need samyam. Samyam is bringing the mind again and again to the same attitude, so that that attitude becomes like Tailadharavat, like the continuous streak of oil or honey. There's no break. And only when there is no break in it, you say that is retained, that attitude is retained, that mood is retained, that state of mind is retained, and then you call it um, dharana. So only where there is dharana, there is samadhi. For dharana, it is to be immediately followed by pratyahara, that means withdrawal of the mind from that which makes it spontaneously run after all the stimuli. Hundreds and thousands of stimuli are always coming to us, but we have chosen to return always only to one order, to one class. And that is an imposition we may put upon us. And of course you can ask, if you are hedonistic, should there be such an imposition on our own mind? We came here to enjoy, let us enjoy. Why do we want to have such kind of a samyam method? It is entirely up to you. We are speaking here only of those who are willing to sacrifice certain amount of their hedonistic pleasures for the betterment, for the perfection of their life. So whatever comes through the indriyas and the karmas that ensue from it, and the prana, which is of a vitalistic energy which is rising up or falling, in all these cases, exercising a samyama of the self, and that is considered as a fire into which you sacrifice, and the result will be the bright burning of an inner light which we call the Jnana Deepa. Dravyayajñā tapo yajñā yoga yajñā tadhā bare swadhyāya yajñā yajñāscha yadaya samsidam vrataha. Likewise are others of object sacrifice, and those of austerity sacrifice, those who sacrifice unity of discipline, and those of self-study and wisdom sacrifice, for all men of self-control and fully accomplished work. Here an important word is yatayaha, that means you hold back. Samsida vrataha, you take it as a vrata. In the Upanishads, also many times you can come across both in the Brahmanas and the Aranyakas, and books like Manusmriti, a person resolving upon to do a certain thing consistently, or not to do a certain thing consistently, and then say, this is my vrata. In our country, where we have seen our mothers and grandmothers who have taken some vrata upon themselves, that is not to eat if they do not see the sun on a certain day, or not to eat any cooked food on a certain day. Even when their physical health is enfeebled and people ask them to break their vrata, They don't do it. If they decide to get up in the morning at 4 o'clock and take a bath in cold water and change their clothes, wash their clothes, they do it. Once we were at Rishikesh, at Haridwar, we were living in a house on the banks of the Ganges. With us, there was also a European young man, young lawyer. And we were living in a kind of a public place, so there were many other pilgrims also. There were not any convenience such as bed or a separate room. So we all had our own arrangement to sleep. At 3 o'clock, a little after 3 o'clock, two old women who were more than 70 or nearing 80, they would get up and they would go to the Ganges, they take a bath, wash their clothes and bring Ganges water all the way chanting. And when they come in, we are supposed to be people who should go much before them because we are sannyasis, and are still sitting around. And those ladies will come and they do not want to be near unclean people. So they sprinkle the water on us, the Ganges water on us. And so this young lawyer who was sleeping there, and he will get more water than others. So with great anger he will get up and he will shout at those ladies. And then Nataraj Guru used to tell him, look here, if you want to love, if you came here to India to love India, you should love these old mothers, because they keep up the true tradition of this country. They are very old, infirm, and that they have a willpower, a courage to get up at 3 o'clock, go in this terrible cold to the Ganges, take bath in the cold water, wash their clothes, and they bring their courage to you also. They are only rousing you, waking you up, and you are shouting at them. Instead of thanking them, you are shouting at them. And he showed that young man, this is a very good example of how to take a vrata and stand by that. And if you take the spiritual path and decide not to have a vrata, then you won't make anything. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that a man going and digging a well 2 feet at one place and 3 feet at another place, and then giving up that and going to another place, he will never find water. If he remained in one place and go on digging, then he will soon come to water. Spiritual life is also like that. You see someone coming and you find him very attractive, you go and collect a few tape. And then you go to the next person and you have already dumped your tapes in one corner from what you collected from the other person. And this person gives entirely different thing, and then you run to someone else. And then you decide all this is nonsense, I don't gain anything. I go back to my McDonald's, and hamburger is anyway much better than their paisans and prasadams and things like that. This is how we do. Then where is Vrata? Where is Yamana? So here, Yadaya Samsita Vrata. If you want to give any attention to the teaching of the Gita, these are the two words. We should learn to restrain. And also we should make a vrata. A decision binding upon us. As it is something which you put on yourself, there is no one asking you to keep it up. It is easy to give up. And when it is easy to give up, not to give up. and there it becomes a Mahavrata. Even small little things. I was astonished when I was reading Manusmriti. They say, I do not know the English for saying that. In Malayalam we say, Karituppa. How do you say it in English? To spit after making a noise and bring the phlegm and spitting. To cough out the phlegm with a sound. Not to do that is a vrata. If you are a Brahmin, you should not make such a sound. Brahmin means one who wants to be perfected. And then it is a Mahavrata. And not to spit on the road. In those days, in Manu's days, it is written as a Mahavrata. Even such little things one can observe a vrata. Apane jukhvadi pranam pranayapanam tatha pare pranapana gadi ruddha pranayama parayanaha. Into the downward vital tendency, others sacrifice the upward one, and in the outward one, the inward likewise, thus countering the tendencies. They remain ever as those who resort to the way of vital breath control. Even this is considered, the pranayama is considered as a sacrifice. What do you sacrifice there? Two aspects. One is the prana aspect, the other is the apana aspect. Now, even among yogis, there is a lot of controversy about which is prana and which is apana. Prana is defined as the upgoing breath, and apana is described as the downgoing breath. Now, the apana, only very few people think that although you are breathing out the air which is already fouled within you as prana, most people take it as apana, even though it is going upward. So the life-giving breath is called prana, and what is used up in the body and which is used for the rejection or elimination of things in us is called the apana. And there's one view. But apana is considered to be something connected with your life and your death. Freud speaks of eros and thanatos, and something of a similar meaning is given to prana and apana. Prana is that aspect in you which is creating life interest in you, and apana is that which is taking you away from the life interest, such as a death instinct. So these are of opposite tendencies, and they are equalized. This equalization of the prana and the apana, bringing them to one union, in the Chandogya Upanishad, that is called the junction of the prana and apana, where Vyana operates as the Mukhya prana. And the example is given in the Chandogya that when the Devas and the Asuras were at war, and the Devas tried to make an Utkita, of the nasal air, of the prana, that was spoiled, that was vitiated by the asura. And so they made an Anutkida where the prana and the apana meet in the mouth, we call the Vyana, and therefore the Vyana was not polluted. So in the nose we have good smell and evil smell, but the air in the mouth, you do not feel any smell for it unless it goes to the nose, of course, but in the mouth itself. And then that is also considered as uh, enabling you to have conversations, to speech. So it enables you to speak without stopping to breathe. And thus a kind of a pranayama is happening without our knowledge. By the prana and the apana, each sacrificing the other in the vyana. Therefore vyana is considered as a neutralizing zone. From this, yogis have developed a method so that the prana and the apana may both be circulated one into the other, though that prana is also closed and apana is also closed. In the, say for instance, in Siddha Pranayama, where they do not breathe downward but upward, like that. So they make a circulation of prana. They begin with, can be from any chakra to any chakra, and then they circulate by rotating it as like that. They rotate and then they bring it all the way up and down and up and down. And only minimal air goes out of their body. But this may sound funny to our modern notions about oxygen being used as for the purification of blood or the supply of for giving energy to our system. How if carbon dioxide is accumulated in the system, will it not be dangerous? Such kind of thoughts could be expressed by critics. But the yogis who are using prana and apana as one total circulation within them, they think the conservation of prana is what gives them a better equipped psychophysical organism to meditate or to develop their spiritual attitude. So that is, as said here, a kind of rodha. Prana is also restrained, apana is also restrained. So instead of breathing with the nose and breathing out, they make the prana and the apana rotate within them. अपरे नियदाहारः प्राणान् प्राणेषु जुह्वति सर्वेप्येते यज्ञविदो यज्ञक्षविदगन्मषाः. Others, abstemious in food, make an offering of vital breaths into vital breath. All these are connotations of sacrifice, who have got rid of evil through sacrifice. Restraining in our food habits is also another discipline which is enumerated here among sacrifices. Yajñasishtamrtaphujo yandi brahma sanadanam nayam logoste yajñasya kudonyah kurusattama. Those who partake of the immortal nectar of sacrificial remains go to the eternal absolute. This world is not for one of no sacrifice. How can we have the next or best of gurus? Arjuna. And here the goal of the sacrifices are given as reaching toward the absolute. We already mentioned this side of life where we have our physical body, our physical interest, and the objects which are stimulating us to react in a certain way. And on the other side is the absolute, which is adrishta, invisible, apurva, not experienced before. And so it is hard for many people to accept the possibility of such an absolute. But if you do all these things, then you are promoted to that world which otherwise you do not see as existing. The fire of sacrifice. How do you go to that state of sannyasa for spiritual realization? Whether you be sannyasa need not necessarily mean that you put on a yellow, an ochre cloth and walk away from life, but it is a giving up of your sense of ownership or limiting yourself to uh, be the possessor of something. And when you think of God as one who possesses all, you have already become a sannyasi. And to promote you from the world of rituals to that world of freedom, all these were mentioned. And here, usually, Arjuna is not referred to as Kurusatama. Here he is called Kurusatama. Kauravas and Pandavas, the people of Duryodhana side is always called the Kaurava, and Arjuna side is called Pandava. But both of them are having the same, they belong to the Kuru clan. Here Arjuna is called Kurusatama, that means he transcends the duality of the two sides of the army, and a union is already affected in his mind as that he belongs to the whole of humanity as such. And there it becomes easier for him to go to the next step of accepting the absolute. एवं बहुविधा यज्ञा विदधा ब्रह्मणो मुखे कर्मजान् विद्धिदान् सर्वान् एवं ज्ञात्वा विमोक्ष्यसे. Thus many and varied are the sacrifices spread in front of the Absolute. Know them all as originating in action. Thus understanding them, you shall gain a release. There is the many and the one. Our occupation here on earth and the transactions here on earth are many, and they can all be considered as sacrifices, but leading to the same result. The result is realization. And so it does not matter which form of sacrifice you are adhering to. Your placement in society, your culture and education, this may bring a certain things natural to you, and even if another person is doing another thing, it shouldn't worry you. I was reading only today in the letters from Sri Ramanashrama. An illiterate person went to Maharshi and said, I do not know how to read, but all these people are reading great books, scholarly books, and they are getting the benefit of it. And then Bhagavan said, well, You don't have to read anything to realize. If you did not read anything so far, and still you know that you exist and I exist, and you are seeing this world, that is enough for you to know that you are free. You don't have to read all those books. But he was feeling still doubtful. Could that be true? Then Maharshi gave his own experience. He said, when I came here, I did not read anything. It was without reading that I came to know. And with me was Palaniswami. So there was a Malayali Swami with him called Palaniswami. And he used to go and bring books. And he was reading. And he was a kind of a semi-literate. And it was painful to hear this man speaking in say, broken words with great difficulty. So afterwards, Maharshi took pity on him and started reading for him. And thus when he picked up the books and started reading, he was so amazed that all the books were recording what he already experienced. He said, I never knew that my experiences were all in books. And when I read the books, I found that they were all recorded there. How could that be? Not that I first learned and became what I am. I became what I am, and afterwards I read also. Nataraja Guru one day asked Narayana Guru at what part of his life he read all the books and understood everything. He said, first we came to know everything and then found they were written so in books also. ആദ്യം നാം എല്ലാം അറിഞ്ഞു, പിന്നീട് പുസ്തകത്തിലും അങ്ങനെ എഴുതിയിരിക്കുന്ന കണ്ടു. First we came to know everything and then we saw it was also written in books. So here, two great gurus of our time, they did not read anything, they just came to know. And then they found that there was full corroboration of what they had experienced in books also. But there are others, like Ganapati Shastri and Kapali Shastri, people who are in the ashram, who are great scholars. And they could not give up their books. They shouldn't. It is good for them to make positive references. They can easily quote, they can say, in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya of such and such a prakarana, such and such an explanation is given, and Ramanuja gives a counter explanation in such and such a place. That's also very useful. They are made so, and this man is made like that. Similarly, whatever is our station of life, it is enough from our standpoint that we understand. Some years back, a gentleman came to me and he said I should initiate him and he should be made my disciple. I told him, I don't do such things. At that time my guru was also alive. So I said it is very improper that I make you my disciple when my guru is still alive. So you should have asked my guru. He said it's very difficult for me to go to Guru. You are now here. Please accept me. And this was my only ambition in life. And then I remembered another thing, that I was in Fiji. And when I was in Fiji, a very old man came to me. And he said, Swamiji, my only ambition in life is to become a sannyasi and then die. So, please give me sannyasa. I may not live for many days. Please give me sannyasa. And he was falling at my feet, holding it, and he was crying, saying, please, don't say no. How many days I will live? You don't know. Please. I said, okay, I'll give you. So next day we had a homa and he was given sannyasa. And he was given a new name. All the people came and They all rejoiced. After 20 days he died, just as he thought he would die. If I did not give him sannyasa, I would have very much regretted that this man's only desire was to get this and I did not give him. So I was very happy that I did this to him. Similarly, this man, when he said, this is my only desire in my life, you should do it. I said, afterwards you shouldn't hold me responsible. You are taking all this initiative and so it's all up to you, I will give you. So there was a small ceremony and she was initiated. Next day morning his wife came. He said, what did you do to my husband? You initiated him and you didn't initiate me. And how can I now live with my husband when you have given all preference to him and did not give to me? I said, he has to do some pranayama and he has to do certain vratas and things like that, and you cannot do all those things. How do you know? You please teach me. I said, no, I don't want to teach you. And she insisted. I said, all right. Where he gets, you will also get, without doing anything. Without an initiation ceremony, or without any kind of pranayama, or any kind of reading, or any kind of meditation, you will reach exactly where he reaches, and perhaps much before him. So that is my promise, and she was very satisfied. Did I tell her a lie? No, I was not telling her a lie. I was telling her in all earnestness. And she was not doing anything, but she had absolute faith that I made this promise. And so she was growing and changing. This was her thought. And that was enough. That was her best meditation. And he goes and sits in that room. And she knows that her husband has gone for meditation. And she becomes so much filled with my promise. And that becomes a meditation for her. And so she has not to sit there. She may be doing all the work in the kitchen. And he sits there. And he comes out sometimes with a restless mind, but she is very peaceful. So it is not exactly what you do. There is an accompanying consciousness with us, which regulates us, which conducts us. And in and through these many, many things, vicissitudes of life, that becomes a steadying thing. I knew a very wonderful lady in Hyderabad. She was the wife of a Muslim officer, and she was born of a Hindu mother. And afterwards they were converted and became this Musliman's wife. But he was a very cultured person. And she wanted to become a disciple of a guru. Which guru she didn't say, I want to become a disciple of a guru. And people should have a guru and I should have a guru. And her husband, he was a district collector. And he sent people everywhere to look for a good guru. And they found a guru and he was brought, as he was collector calling, and naturally they go there. So she went there, he went there. This lady had 8 children. And they were all going to school. And she was doing all work for them. She was not using servants. Then she asked this guru, will you please give me the highest yoga? He said, I will teach you. The first thing you have to learn is yama and niyama. And he explained to her how yama and niyama are to be observed. Only after that asana comes in. So the first thing is yama and niyama. And she told her husband, now look here, my guru wants me to use yama and niyama. Yama is a restraint. 5 kinds of restraints. Niyama are 5 kinds of vratas. So I want to observe it. I gave you 8 children. I think that was enough from my side as a wife. I will do an extra work of cooking for you, laundering your clothes, ironing them, pressing them, and to see that you are given tea, everything in time. But after 10 o'clock, leave me to myself. And whatever my guru wanted me to do, I will do after 10 o'clock. And during the whole day, I will observe whatever he wanted me to do. But I will do everything that as you want, as I was doing previously. And the husband agreed. And she had no servants, and she was single-handed doing all the work, but observing this yama and niyama. I think in the very first month, the guru died. So she cried and cried, and in the night, she had a dream that the guru came and stood. And he said, he asked, why do you cry? She said, you promised to teach me everything, but now you went away. You just taught me yama and asked me to do yama and niyama, and then you went away. He said, should I teach you the next step before you finish this? You are not finished yama and niyama. You go ahead with yama and niyama. I did not promise that I will not die. I only promised that I will teach you. So now you see I have come to you and I am still teaching you. So I will teach you. I did not make the promise that I will not die. I will always live with you. So never mind about my death. You go ahead with what I already taught you, yama and niyama. And she does not practice any pranayama or any asana, any pratyahara, nothing. She has this one thought of observing yama and niyama. And then people found that she was not like any other person which they have seen. And I was also very much convinced by seeing her. Another person to her is just like a transparent thing. She can just see through you. And she sees everything in the right perspective. I have seen hundreds and hundreds of people who call themselves yogis. But this wonderful woman, I rarely seen one like her. And she says she didn't learn anything other than yama and niyama. But she sticks on to this. Ahimsa, that is one restraint. And she sticks on to it. Satya, she sticks on to it. Asteya, she sticks on to it. So, similarly, Shaucha, Santosha, Sadhyaya, she sticks on to that. Only 2 steps, and those 2 steps were enough for her to go to the very end. So, it is not the amount of instruction that we get from a teacher. If you are once initiated, or you think that you are initiated. See, I went to Ramana Maharshi to get initiated. He does not initiate anyone. But I didn't want to be initiated by anyone else. What could I do? He won't initiate. He won't call anyone his disciple. But no one should stop me from thinking that I am his disciple. So what could I do? I said, it is immaterial who gives me a robe. So I asked my own friend, Swami Ramadevananda, if today I shave off my head and have the Viraja Homa, will you give me this cloth? But I won't consider you as my Guru. I will consider Ramana Maharshi as my Guru and not you as my Guru. And he was very glad. So we had this, and she gave me the cloth, I put on that. And I went and stood before Maharshi. Maharshi was sitting with his leaning with his eyes closed. Then I thought in my mind, if he opens his eyes now and recognizes me, then this is valid. If he does not open his eyes and look at me, this is not valid. So I went and stood there, and he opened my eyes, and to me it was just like heavens opening up and blessing me. And I decided this is valid. And I never wanted to tell him that this is a contract between us. And it happens. It's my satisfaction, not for him. So in all this, there is something providential which takes you. यज्ञशिष्टामृतभुजो यान्ति ब्रह्म सनातनं नायं लोकोऽस्त्यज्ञस्य कुतोऽन्यः कुरु सुत्तमाम् एवं बहुविधा यज्ञा विदधा ब्रह्मणो मुखे कर्मजान् विधितान् सर्वान् एवं ज्ञात्वा विमोक्ष्यसे. Thus, many and varied are the sacrifices spread in front of the Absolute. Know them all as originating in action. Thus, understanding them, you shall gain a release. It's a very beautiful picture that all the sacrifices are spread out before the face of the Absolute. We have a world which is of relative consequences, and there is an all-embracing Absolute. And by just knowing this, all these sacrifices are world of actions, disciplines which you have to perform. But it is not the action which is releasing you, it's the understanding. There is a cumulative understanding which comes from this. And that enables you, that helps you to know. So at first, when we are just entering into the spiritual field, we think now we are different because we are initiated into this life. And we look for the difference. How am I different from the other person? What did I gain? By following this guru or this instruction, what did I gain? I have been sitting in meditation, I have been doing pranayama, I have been watching my breath, I was concentrating on the chakra. What did I gain? So you look for a result of an action, and you may get disappointed. Or sometimes you may find it stimulating because you may find some results. After some time, you come to know that it is not the expected way in which your spiritual growth is happening. You say something to some people and then they marvel. How could you say that? And you behave in a certain way in a certain situation and you marvel. Oh, how could I behave like that? You start seeing a difference happening, not directly from anything which you have done or anything you have studied, but a maturity is coming on its own. And in that maturization, a new stability is being built up, and you are that. And what you have been afraid of until that time, you are no more afraid. What you were uncertain till that time, you are no more uncertain. New certitude comes, new fearlessness comes. And that is a sign now you are getting established. If you look in a book, it does not say, oh, now you will reap this result. And there is some uniqueness about this, about each person's unfoldment and growth. I was not seeing my sister for a very long time, and she was also not seeing, except a couple of times she saw me at the airport, and that was all. And this time, we stayed together for about 3 weeks, and except when she was in the hospital, she was doctor. So from during her off-duty hours, when we sat together, it was a kind of discovering each other. So as I knew her as my little sister, I always thought she knew nothing. So what do my little sister know? So her image comes to me when she was a 2-year or 3-year-old, when I was carrying her around. So even though she became a professor of pathology afterwards, I consider them my baby sister. So this time when we were sitting and talking, she has evolved her own theory. Her own theory is that God alone is. And God is in the full knowledge of everything that is happening. And so even if a thing is seeming to be very disastrous, she believes that God is just behind it, and God is handling it. And so she shouldn't have any panic. So even when others are having panic, she sees right there God sitting there. I found I had nothing to teach her, except giving a confirmation to what she already knew. But she said, no, I learned all this without you. But I want now to make sure that I learned it from you. So just like I said, she wanted an initiation. I said, I don't. She wanted it. It's all in the mind. And she said, all right. But on the Vishu day, when everybody came and gave dakshina, she decided that her giving the dakshina is an initiation. She felt very happy, very satisfied. But that does not bind me to teach anything, because the teaching was already going on, not from me, but from me also, could also from me, but who is the me? Here we see that one me who is teaching everyone, one teacher who is teaching all. But if you start questioning that, doubting that, then it is as if all the doors before you are closed. Shreyan dravyamayadyajnat jnanayajna parandava sarvam karma akhilam bharta jnane parisamapyade. Superior to any sacrifice with valuable objects is the wisdom sacrifice, O Parantapa. All actions, O Partha, have their culmination in wisdom. So slowly they brought it to that, where actions are all now made to culminate into wisdom. What your action is only an occasion. What ensues from this is wisdom. That is important. Tadvitti pranivadena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshandi jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Learn this by prostration, by searching, questioning, and by service. They will instruct you in wisdom, those wise men who can see the basic principles. So it's in words like this that people like Johnny get into trouble. Say tadvithi pranivadena pariprasnena sevaya. Learn this by prostration. But Johnny says, I am an American. I am taught that I am a man, a person with an individuality. To go and kowtow before another person, that is an Indian way. You are all slave masters. When you call yourself a guru, you want a slave, and that is why you want me to touch your feet. I don't want to do that. Is that not just an Indian way? Yes, it's an Indian way. Recently, when I was in the Gulf countries, I saw every day in the television people coming and kissing the sheikh, the ruler, on both the cheeks, and rub the nose. You see, I don't belong to that culture. So if I am asked even to rub the nose with a ruler, I may not like it. Because you may catch a cold. It looks rather dirty. But for them, they are doing it with utmost love, utmost respect. It's their culture. And I can understand an American who does not want to feel that he is enslaved. And a great warning is given in the introduction to the Golden Flower by Carl Gustav Jung. And also the same thing he repeats in the introduction to the book of the Great Liberation, that Western people should be very careful in trying to graft their spiritual life onto the roots of Oriental traditions. And Jung himself had a very bad experience. He came to see India, and when he came to India, he visited the Sun Temple of Konarak, and the various motifs there which he saw before entering into the sanctum were very shocking to him. And in the night he had a dream. And the dream was that he got into an island. The island was drifting away from the mainland. And he got very frightened. So next day he found that he had a diarrhea, and he developed bad dysentery, and he was very feeble. But he diagnosed. The diagnosis was that the mainland was his own previous Christian background, European Christian background, and the island was India or Hindu culture. And he got onto the Hindu culture and that was stripping him, taking away him from the mainland, that is from his grassroots culture. So this gave him so much of a panic that he did not want to remain in India. And so he wanted to run away. And afterwards, when I spoke with Dr. Vasud and others, I found out some of his other characteristics. And recently I met, I think, Andy also saw a Jungian lady in Amsterdam who studied with Jung. And she also confirmed to me that she was very much afraid of being with the people of another culture if they are of a mystical or a highly spiritual level. And Ramana Maharshi Jung was to come to Ramanashram and see Ramana Maharshi. After this incident, he did not want to see Maharshi. He just cancelled the whole trip and he went away. And then he gave this warning to young Westerners: be very careful in trying to graft on to another culture. I also agree with him. And now I found that Johnny is caught in the same kind of situation, and he was bugged by Indian spirituality for the last 10 years, and he went far into it, and now he thinks he is deceived. He went the wrong tangent, the wrong direction, and so he is in a state of remorse now, but nothing about him is stable. Tomorrow morning he will wake up with another attitude. As I have been watching his vicissitude. But this is very interesting phenomenon to experience. For an Indian, it's come so natural to feel a veneration for his teacher. He need not be a great spiritual guru, even for his school teacher. Once I developed this philosophical attitude of being very, very strong, not to bow before anyone other than the Absolute. Only Brahman comes to us. Bow, otherwise no. So on the next day, so even after taking sannyasa, I was going to college. The next day when I went to the class, I decided to sit firm on my seat and do not get up when the professor comes. And first period was a certain professor came. Oh, everybody got up and I just sat there. I congratulated myself that I could do it. And after that class was gone, somebody came from behind and put his hand on my shoulders. I looked around. It was Professor Sheshadri. I just shot up like that. I could not sit there even for 1 second after seeing that it was Professor Sheshadri standing there. I said, what nonsense. How can I ever sit before my teacher, my guru? This is so spontaneous. After taking my sannyasa and after leaving college, many years are gone. I was in a train, I was sitting in a train, and at a station somebody came and walked in. One look, I just shot up to same Professor Sheshadri. I couldn't sit. And he saw me and he asked me to sit. To me it was so difficult to sit before him. Such was the veneration that has gone into my heart about this man. For 4 years he was teaching me, 3 years he was teaching me. But much more than the teaching, the idea that he is a guru. He was not an ordinary professor. The idea that he is a guru, that has gone so deep in me. And now, year before last when I went to Madras, I went in search of him, and he has now taken a house at the Adair beach, and he was looking into the ocean, sitting in his room looking into the ocean, and the waves were coming one after another. Such clear, beautiful waves come and roll back. So I went with some oranges. So I laid them at his feet and prostrated. He saw a sannyasi lying flat at his feet. He showed up. That's another thing, you see. Because he's a sannyasi. And he said, "What is this? What is this?" So I got up. He looked at me and he said, "Oh, you. But why did you do that? You are a sannyasi." I said, "You are my guru." So I had many such occasions. You must have heard of a very great hero of India called Bhagat Singh. He was Punjab, and in his freedom fight, the British government decided to hang him, and he was hanged. And his mother was about 82 when I was in Amritsar. On 2nd November, which is my birthday, it is my custom on my birthday to go and see a mother anywhere I live and fall at her feet and take her blessing. So I wanted to take the blessings of a mother that day, and I heard that Bhagat Singh's mother was in the hospital and she was bedridden. So I went there with some flowers. So I went and touched her feet, and she was lying. And then she asked me why did I touch her feet. And I told her, "This is what I do on all my birthdays. And you are now the greatest mother of our country, and so I come to fall at your feet, take your blessing." And then she said, "Come, my child, come close to me." And so she asked other people to help her to sit up. She embraced me. She blessed me. And she said, "I obliged you, but you are Sant Maharaj, that means you are a sannyasi, so allow me to touch your feet also." She insisted that she should touch my feet. So these are certain things which are in that soil. And I don't think a young American boy can ever imbibe it or be true to it. And he shouldn't do that. It's not my fault if Johnny gets into that situation. But for an Indian, this is the only thing which makes sense to him. Nothing else. And if he gives up this, he has lost everything. Jesus says, if you lose your savor, you are the salt of the earth. If you lose your savor, with what you will be savored again? So, the very heart of Indian spirituality is this, that tadvithi pranivadena, then pariprasnena sevaya. You are not asked to go and put questions to your guru without doing seva to him. Upadakshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Learn this by prostration, by searching questions. This does not stop you from putting questions. You are asked to put pariprasnena, put searching questions to the Guru. But do not forget also to give your service. You humble yourself. Narayana Guru in the Atmapadesha Shadaka says, "Unararudinni urangadad irunnidanam arivai ഇതിന് അയോഗ്യനെന്നാൽ പ്രണവമുണർന്ന് പിറപ്പൊഴിഞ്ഞു വാഴും മുനിജന സേവയിൽ മൂർത്തി നിർത്തിടണം. Do not wake up again. From what? Do not wake up again to sensuality. Do not sleep away from realization. Remain as pure knowledge. And if you cannot do that, then you are in need of a guru. The first preference is not to have a guru. First preference is just to remain as Yoga Brahman. But if you cannot do that, then you are in need of a guru. And if you are in need of a guru, then he say, Pranavamarunnu Pirapuzhinju Vazhum Munijana Sevayil Murti Nirthidanam. You should bring your body in all humility to the service, physical service of one Muni, a contemplative, to whom the secret of the Pranava has opened up. Guru used to say, if I go to a guru and say, I surrender my soul to you, myself to you, Atman to you, and if the guru asks, do you know about your Atman? No. Then how can you surrender your Atman to me? If I go and say, Guru, I give you my mind, then if the guru asks, have you any control over your mind? No. Then how can you give your mind to me? And if I say, Guru, I offer the service of my body, that's possible. Because if I say, let me pull a bucket of water, I can pull a bucket of water. I have control over my body, and so begin from there. From where you can start relating. So a whole scheme is given here. Once, when I just joined the Gurukula, I had so much of democratic ideals. And I thought, what is this thing called? This is an ashram, and all these are households. Why not? There is a lot of place in this ashram. Let all the children come here and play. So I started a tennis court here. And the same evening, when I just finished making the tennis court, Guru came. And he said, what is this? I said, let our neighborhood young people come and play here. I thought I was doing a social service and a good thing. It was already evening, and so there was nobody playing. Then he said, suppose in Trivandrum, where there is public works, a water department, they allow all the drainage water and the purified water all to run into the same system. Do you think that it is good to drink? Drainage water is also water, and this purified water is also water. The purified water is kept in a special reservoir, and if somebody thinks, oh, we should be more generous, let everything flow into it. Why not you allow that? I said, no, that should not be. He said, if that is so, there is a special reason for calling this an ashram. This ashram means we are culturing, purifying something here to be given back to the people. And for that, we have an undertaking. And that undertaking is to have discipline where there is no discipline. And then he asked, what was the name of the ashram? I said, it is called Narayana Gurukula. So there is it's not just called a kula, it's called Guru Kula. So there should be a difference between the kula of a father and the kula of a guru. And further, this is called Narayana Gurukula. Not just Guru, a particular person called Narayana Guru who lived for certain ideals and who had certain views. So when we are within this, we have also a responsibility not to go against his own teaching. Otherwise you can have your own place. So this is what I tell my young friends also, especially who are of Western backgrounds. When they walk into the Gurukula, something is binding on them. Either they should decide to remain there or decide not to remain there. If they decide to remain there, it is binding on them to treat that place as an ashram, as a Gurukula, as having a certain purpose. And if they think that is a free life to live in a free place, they are free to do that. All this comes from this particular chapter, which is called Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. There is a sannyasa here, both karma and jnana, for the sake of yoga. Yajñatva na punarmohamevam yasyasi bandava yena bhudanyasheshena drakshyasyatmanyatho mai. Having known this, O Pandava, you will not give way to delusion thus anymore. By this all beings without exception will be seen by you in the self and thus in me. It said in the self and also in me. Apichedasi papepya sarvebhyah papakrittamaha sarvam jnanaplavenaiva vrajinam sandarishyasi. Even if you should happen to be among evildoers, the most evil-doing man, by the very raft of wisdom, you will be able to cross over sin. That is a great promise we get here. Yathaidhamsi samiddhokmi bhasmasat kurude arjuna jnanatmi sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurude tatha. Just as fire when kindled reduces to ashes the fuel, O Arjuna, likewise the fire of wisdom reduces all works to ashes. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramiha vidyade tatsayam yoga samsiddha kalena atmadivindadi. There is nothing indeed here to so purificatory as wisdom, which same the man of perfection, through unity of discipline, discovers in himself in due course. The most important thing here to remember is Kalena. There is a time factor, and that time factor is with us, and it always helps us to go in the right course, in the right direction, and maturization comes in its own time. So we should be patient. In one person it can be just 1 minute, and another person it may take years. Shraddhavan lapade jnanam tatpara samyadendriya jnanam laptva param shanti achirena dhigacchati. I put this picture here. I thought we are not going to use it, but here, just for instinctive behavior of birds and animals also, This bird has to concentrate on its prey through great shraddha. A dog is sleeping, but even when it is sleeping, it is thinking of its master and the master's protection. And so right in the sleep, it has one spark of its consciousness kept alive, so that the moment it hears the sound, it jumps up. And such should also be the nature of a spiritual aspirant, that his Shraddha is made one point, and at any time he is required to listen. He should be listening. Listening here, not just, again I said, as a slave, but as a very intelligent listener. Ajñaccha shraddadhanascha samsiyatma vinashyati nyayam logosti nabaro nasugham samsayatmanaha. The unwise man and the man without faith, with the self held in the conflict of doubt, is destroyed. Neither is there this world for him, nor the world beyond, nor can there be any happiness for a man caught in doubt. So this is considered to be a very terrifying words, which says if you entertain doubt, then you will be destroyed. So you have a doubt. Should you die for that? No, no, no. You won't die. The only thing is, your doubt here is about the spiritual verity of a certain goal. And if you do not see that goal, you will be destroyed with regard to that goal is concerned. Not that you will be destroyed. You will have another social life anyway. But that spiritual possibility will be destroyed. Yoga sanyasta karmanam jnanasam chinna samshayam atmavandam na karmani na bhatnandi dhananjaya. For one of unitively renounced action by yoga, who by wisdom has sundered doubt and come to full self-possession, words can no more bind him, O Dhananjaya. Tasmat jnana sambhudam hristam jnana sinatmana chitvainam samshayam yogam adishtottishta parada. Therefore, sundering with the sword of self-knowledge, this ignorance-born doubt residing in the heart, stand firm in the unity way and stand up, O Bharata. So we are asked to clear our doubts by using a sort of determination of wisdom. And we are asked both to stand firm and also stand up. There should be sthairya, resoluteness, and not fickleness. To say, oh, I am fickle, and so why do you bother? Well, if you are fickle, at least don't waste my time. If we are in the path of search, let us go together. But if you want to be fickle, at least you don't come and trouble. Keep yourself away. But if you are steadfast, then of course there is every need to help you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.